Hi, I'm Dorian, and this is Community Builders, the podcast where we look for the helpers making the big decisions in our community. I am honored to be here with my guest today, Brandon Slater.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Slater and Sons Construction, is that the entity?
Except for everybody always wants to put an S on the end.
So it's Slater and Son. Okay,
son, singular. I never got an S added. My dad is actually the son, and we're just kind of rolling on with it. So,
That's right. So it's three generations.
That's correct, yeah.
Did I see 1948? Is that accurate?
Yep.
That is some history in this community. And I know that a lot of times on this show, we talk to people who are building, and maybe on a more metaphorical level, but you and your family have physically built a lot of this town.
Yeah.
What are some of the cool projects you've built around here?
Oh gosh, just looking around right in this downtown area, the Moorhead building, Hotel Diamond.
Yeah.
That was a really fun project. The Bidwell Presbyterian Church, spent a few years there, multiple phases, kind of completely redoing that. 20 years ago or whatever.
Wow.
Now I was in college at the time that we did that, and I was out there working with my bags on at that point. So yeah.
Where did you go to college? Did you go?
I went to Chico State.
Okay,
Yep,
awesome.
Yep, construction management department. And
How did it get started? So it was your grandfather?
correct.
And he was like, a hammer and a dream, or what? Give me.
He was actually like a woodshop teacher.
Oh, cool.
And he started building houses on the side. And he realized that he made more money, building one house during a summer than he did a whole year being a school teacher. So he transitioned out of that and started building houses. Built a couple hundred houses here in Chico.
That's
and
amazing.
Yeah.
And so then his son took over.
Yeah. So my dad, Howard Slater, he took over It's kind of interesting because the company started in 1948, which was the year my dad was born. And then my dad took over the company in 1982, which is the year I was born. Didn't quite line up with the next generation, but anyways, I took over. It was we don't have like a set date of when I took over, but I came back. I went down to the Bay Area for a few years, 5 years, and worked for another general contractor down there. My dad called it my grad school of construction. Just because there isn't really a grad school of construction, and he wouldn't let me. I had been working for him during college, and off and on, he encouraged me to go out and work for other subcontractors in town during school. And but when I graduated from college, he was like, "No, you need to get out of town, go work for somebody else." So
why do you think that was? What was he?
Looking back, it was I didn't know why he was doing it at the time, but looking back, it was such a smart move on his part. It's just go see how somebody else runs. Make sure you really surely makes me appreciate Chico. I after living in the Bay Area for 5 years, I laugh when people are like, "Oh, there's traffic," and I'm like, "What are you talking about? You got stuck at the light twice,"
Yeah.
So those kind of things, and just being able to see how somebody else. I worked for a company that worked in a whole different sector of business, so I got to see that. My dad never did any public stuff, so I did a lot of down there. I did a lot of work for like schools and fire stations, municipalities, and stuff like that. So when I came back, that was like my thing. Is I went after and started kind of set up a whole part of the business that didn't exist before doing public work. So yeah.
I love that you gave a nod to appreciating Chico. I'm someone who also went to the Bay Area.
Oh, yeah.
And came back when I was like, oh, this is the place to raise a family.
Yep.
I noticed that there was a section on your website, slaterandson.com, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. That has it's basically a love letter to Chico. You have just a list of like the restaurants and events and favorite things to do in town. What made you think we should put that on our construction website?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of part of our core values. Is just being a part of the community that supports us, and that's from a philanthropic standpoint as far as giving back to the community. I feel like we've been so blessed by the community and hiring us to do their work, and we've made a profit and a good living off of that. So, looking around and being like, hey, how can we help? Is just kind of a part of who we are. So, yeah.
What do you think would surprise people about the buildings and the construction in Chico? Or what are some fun facts you can maybe tell us about what it's like to build here versus somewhere else?
Yeah. Gosh, that's an interesting one. I don't know if I got a whole lot of
Do you have a like?
super. I could share like some fun project facts that I've learned this last year if
Yeah,
you like.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love that. Yeah.
Sure. So some unique projects. Built our first jail, just finishing the
Wow.
jail in Orville. Also doing one in Red Bluff. Never done a jail before, and we're doing two of them at the same time.
Interesting.
And they've gone really well. But definitely learned some things. So like new product that we hadn't dealt with before. So we deal in building. There's often fire rated walls. Well, in jails they have attack rated components of buildings. So we have like like windows and walls. They have attack ratings. So
What?
it's like how long can you like beat on a wall or a window before it'll like fail?
Is that like a numerical? It's like a 1 to 10?
20 minutes.
Like 20. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
like a
It
10-minute attack rating, 20-minute attack rating, 30-minute attack rating.
Interesting. Okay.
Versus like that wall right there's a 3-hour fire rated wall because it's concrete.
Right,
So they
okay.
say, hey, it could burn over here for 3 hours before
Yeah.
it'll burn that wall up.
Fascinating. And
Yeah.
I'm guessing the fire code stuff is big out here. Is that like a heavy consideration with every new project or?
Yeah, I would say no different really than the whole United States as far as fire code goes. The one difference California has, I think, than a lot of the rest, it's a newer thing dealing with all the wildfires is the wildland urban interface,
Okay.
which is kind of an add-on code that says, hey, if you live in a area that's susceptible to wildland fires, fires coming from the outside, you have to do these added kind of hardening things. So versus most building code focuses much more on like life safety and putting the fires out that are created inside the building.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What do you think distinguishes Slater and Son as a construction company? In
Yeah, I would say it's there's lots of builders in town that build quality projects. I would say for us it's much more of a cultural or like a personality, much more the softer side of what we offer. Like we really, I don't know, we just have a different approach to building that kind of touches more on the relationships and like not so much focused on like growth and making money and things like that. We're much more into the like, hey, we're just grateful to be building something, and we're gonna focus on building a great project and being a good team member, creating a good team, people that we like to work with, rather than focusing on like the biggest things being like the traditional things would be costs and time and schedule and all those things. I think we focus much more on the softer things of life. So yeah.
I love that. I think that is like right in line with the community's culture also is to care a little bit more about that human softer side of things. I know that you are involved in some of the wonderful nonprofit organizations we have. I think Jesus Center and Chat.
Yep.
Why is that important to you? And why is that part of your culture beyond just, like you said, a bottom line?
Yeah. I think it's kind of, I'm just, in my family, it was a family value that was kind of all that I was instilled into me from my mom and my dad, just that, you take care of people around you that are kind of, that need help. And we're kind of, we're helpers, I guess. And that was always, my parents modeled that to me. I also think like my faith is a big part of who I am, and I'm a Christian, and I think the Bible tells us that, it tells us it's our responsibility as believers to take care of the poor, and so I see that as a lot of what I do is a result of that as well. So yeah.
I love that. How is that rewarding to you to give back and to help?
Yeah. There's this, have you ever heard of the like love languages or whatever?
Absolutely.
So words of affirmation is my love language. So it's nice when I hear people like, be like, oh, hey, I saw you did this cool thing. And like kind of funny, like I was in Santa Barbara this weekend for my wife's college reunion. and one of her friends works in the homeless space, and I've only met her maybe once or twice in my life, and she like follows me, I guess, somehow. I don't even know how that works, but somehow she like knew all this stuff about me and projects like that I'd done. And she was just had all these questions for me, and she knew like way more than I was like. I didn't even know all that information was on the interweb. So it was like that kind of thing, and that was very flattering to me. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. So yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I was like, oh, that interview we did a few weeks ago, like that was very life-giving to me to just share my experiences, and the fact that you thought that was interesting. That's like, that's cool.
Absolutely. And the folks at Chat think so highly of you, and you have clearly done such a good job with philanthropy and with being involved in the community. I think it's special that you've been here for so long, that your family's been here for so long. How is being like a family business give you that ability to do more for the community?
It's nice that, for the most part, decisions can be made pretty quickly.
Yeah.
One of the things my dad used to always say was, our mission statement and our core values, they were created at the dining room table, not a boardroom table. And so that was that. Towards the end, before my dad passed, that was always like he would tell the story of our company at like when we go to interviews for new projects, and he would talk about my grandpa had an apple orchard, up in Paradise, and he was a shop teacher, and would tell all these stories, and that he'd always close with the board, our values and boardroom kind of comment. And so it was
that is so after my own heart. This is actually my family dining room table.
Oh, okay.
I grew up eating Thanksgiving around this table. It had a leaf, so it was a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's so funny. My family dining, except for it had a leaf, was very similar. It's like I feel like the peak. I saw it earlier. I was like, that looks very familiar. I gotta love the 80s, right?
Yes.
Are you enjoying the episode so far? Do you want to make your own podcast in Chico? Well, we've got you covered. We have a brand new state-of-the-art podcast studio located right here in downtown Chico at Metric Studios. Do you have a podcast idea? Hit us up today at communitybuilderspodcast@gmail.com, and we'll get started with a quick conversation and a free consultation. Now, back to the episode.
Decisions made around the dining room table, why does that transpose so well to like the health of our community? Because clearly something happened there, right? Where you guys, rather than sit in the boardroom with the fiduciary committee, you made your decisions around a meal with the people you love. And because of that, you ended up being involved in all these wonderful initiatives in town. Why does that enable that? And why would you recommend that for any other family business?
Yeah. The other thing that I've seen like on that family room, dining room kind of conversation is it really gets to think about like how we treat our employees, how we treat our customers. Like we really do try to treat them all like family. Like I feel like we have a lot less turnover. And it's like, somebody does something that, rather than, somebody does something that upsets me, rather than be like, hey, we're going to put in you can't just fire your family, right?
Yeah,
and it's like, we've made a commitment to you as welcoming you to the family, as an employee. And like, we really try really hard. I mean, granted, there are always times that it's just, hey, this is not a good fit for... I think often by the time you get to the point where you have to fire somebody or let somebody go or whatever you want to term you want to use, it's really to the point where it's like, this isn't good for either one of us. You will be happier somewhere else that is a better better cultural fit or better situation for you, or and that depends all the way from younger folks all the way up through, that are just trying to get into the trades and things like that. And it's like, sometimes getting fired when you're 18, that's a learning experience.
Absolutely.
And you need to realize that you got to show up to work on time or you're going to get fired. And, at some point, 13 warnings is giving only a detriment to the employee of being like, I'm actually training you to be a bad employee. So, that's the way we kind of look at our employees and really our clients to the same extent of just trying to be open and transparent and just being like, hey, we have to, this is a mutually beneficial relationship. And it's like, we're luckily at a point where we get to turn down work. And it's like, hey, we want to find projects that are fun to build, got a good team from a design team, good owners that are just like, hey, like I'm grateful that we get to like be somewhat selective. Not always, but somewhat selective in that, who we work for, and very grateful from the other side of being like, people have to obviously choose us as well. So trying to create those mutually beneficial relationships, I think is huge. So I don't know if I answered your question or not.
And I want to double click on one thing. I love the way you framed it as it's sort of an active choice to think about your clients, the people you work with as family, right? And I think that translates really well to like the community at large. If you choose to think of the people around you, right, as like some extension of a family, because we all live here together, we drink the same water, it changes how willing you can be to like listen to them and work through things together, because you can't fire your family as you said. What do you think are some of the challenges facing this community right now? And are there things that like jump to mind as like
Totally.
Yeah.
I think the nationwide all the way down to very local is just this political divide and just this kind of trend that has gone towards like, I can't work with someone or around somebody that voted for Trump, or I can't if you are pro-life or pro-choice, it's like I don't want to have anything to do with you. It's like, instead of being like, I have the opposite opinion of that, and like, I'm really curious to understand like that. I don't get that. Like, I completely feel the opposite, but I'm really curious to find out why you feel like what you feel.
And I think that is something that is special about you, because I'm completely with you. There's this divide where people won't even give the time of day to someone else, but to have the ability to say, and it's sort of the hypothesis of this show, is that unity doesn't mean we have to all think the same thing. To work towards a common goal for our community, right? And to be curious and to like want to know why someone maybe thinks something that's in total opposition to you, but to still be willing to say like, you know what, I'll still sit at a table with you. I'll still hear you out. I'll still like help build towards what we really need at the end of the day, which is a strong economy, like housing solutions. I think that is what would provide a brighter future for all of us.
Totally. Yeah, as you say that, it reminds me too, like just like one of the reasons you asked it earlier, but I think I'm going to circle back to it, is like why homeless stuff is kind of a thing that tugs at my heartstrings. But I think it's also this looking at it from a political like community perspective. It's a great topic to use to say, hey, this is something that should be. It's something that both sides want the same end result. We have some disagreements as far as how we get there, but why can't we all just sit down, stop spending so much time, like I feel so often the homeless folks get used as political pawns when an election's coming up, being like, you blah, blah, blah caused all this, and it's just like, it's just so unhealthy.
Yeah, so, people are people, right? And so what can we do, and how do we like encourage future generations to hear conversations like this, or to think in the way that you think about these kinds of things? Why is it important to just talk to people, to listen to people, and to engage with folks who may think differently than you?
Yeah, man, I'd say one thing that's helped me is getting off of social media.
Me too.
Dude, it's like, man, I get so like my like anxiety when I start reading all these people comments and how like angry they are, and then I get angry, and then like I all of a sudden start developing these like what I think are facts based off of some garbage that I read on the old interweb. So
could not be more after my.
I don't know. I think that it's one of those things that it's like, I think it had I think social media had, or still has, potential good, but it's just been abused and like. Anyways, that's a whole.
No, I would love to stay on that for a second, because I completely agree that what we have lost is connection to each other in a meaningful way. And I feel like with social media in particular, we're so lonely as a society from that lack of connection. And social media has provided this false way to connect that is just hating on things together, right?
Yeah.
And that's not the kind of connection that's constructive.
Yeah.
And that really that's very worrying to me as someone with a young daughter. I don't think the writing on the wall is good for social media.
No.
And with AI coming into, which I don't know if that has entered your field much.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like it's, I feel like it's like any other tool. Like, I think if used properly, same with social media, if used properly, it could probably be a good tool. I think back, like when the internet first started, there was people that were like, oh, this is going to be the end of the world and all this stuff, and this is going to ruin us. And it's like, well, there's a lot of good things that have come out of the internet.
Totally.
There are a couple bad things.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that I'm a big believer in economic forces, or like that we trend, we're like this pendulum of like with politics and all these things is like, like we as society do these things to like whatever, we start trending some direction, and then there's like unintended consequences that start emerging, and then we're like, oh, we're gonna swing back because it's like that went way too far. So I feel like that's happening right now, like with social media. I think people are kind of realizing the downfalls of that. And
Glad to hear that.
Yeah, so
I think the same. I think that it is falling off a little bit, and it seems like that people are using it more as like a surveillance tool than as a like self-reporting tool.
Sure.
I hope that. Do you think that AI, social media, the march of technology, what does that mean for your business in the future in this economy?
Yeah. I think it'll play a bigger and bigger role in our projects. Hopefully it'll make us more efficient. I'm reading this book right now. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And it's, I'm early on in the book right now, but it talks a lot about just the history of like, all the way of technology and how it's
awesome.
like, at least this is the first part of it. It's all the way from like, it starts with like Edison creating the light bulb, and that now all of a sudden gave us a bunch more hours in the day. It talks through like industrial revolution as far as making all these tools that are supposed to like create more leisure time, and like, oh, we don't have to do dishes anymore, we got a dishwasher, and like all these things that theoretically should have created more like leisure time for us, and all we've done is gotten more and more busy, and it's just like,
that's so interesting. I was just reading. I'm going to butcher this example, but I was reading recently about when the tractor came out, the diesel tractor or whatever, the first version of that. Farmers were like, usually it would take us a day to plow a field, and now suddenly we can do 10 fields in a day, so we'll only need to work 1 day a week. Right? Not so much, and it just ended up meaning the new expectation was 5 days a week, 10 a day. I wonder if there is, if the being more efficient and more output is going to be the same kind of story, where it just translates to just as busy as ever, but getting a lot more done. We'll find out.
Certainly possible. I think that with that hurry comes a lot of anxiety, especially when, like, it used to be looked upon as like, oh, if you were well-to-do or rich or whatever you want to call that like you had, like, it was seen as a positive thing to have like leisure time.
Right.
And now it's like this, you feel guilty if you're like, oh, I went on vacation and I feel guilty for it. And it's like, rather than like this, like, I don't know.
Those were all billable hours.
Totally. So it's just interesting how we change as a society. Goods and bads, and trying to,
Do you have some favorite causes, charities, nonprofits in town that you want to shout out or talk about a little bit?
Oh, man, I mean, you mentioned a couple with the Jesus Center and Chat. I think in the also the Tortoise Shelter, my family's been involved with a lot. So in that homeless space, I feel like those are the ones doing really good work right now. Boys, if you want to, that's more on the, like, I'll call it reactive or other side of, like, once people have gone that direction and trying to help them up. I think the more on the preventative side, I would say Boys and Girls Club is my favorite kind of nonprofit to support. I think those guys do great work, and to just invest in kids' lives who maybe don't have all the same resources and all the same family at home to support them. Like, just to be like on a preventative side, I feel like the dollars spent there go so much further in a long run than like dollars spent once you've already, you've already kind of are homeless or something like that, right? Like,
that's an excellent point. It's like this whole pipeline, right? And you can help in any area of it. You can help on the preventative side or at like the final stage when someone is in dire need. Tell me a little bit about what you've done with Chat. Because you guys have played no small part in some of the huge things they've done in this town.
I just really took their model and kind of what they were doing, and I taken my skill set of building and started just playing around with ideas. And I mean, it was like a few different kind of things, like my life experiences, and these ideas kept turning in my head. We never built a house before, kind of at the inception of getting involved with Chat stuff. And like almost every year, I think I've gone down 13 or 14 years down to Mexico to build houses for kind of poor people down there. And it, costs $8,000 to build a house with some volunteers down in Mexico. And so that idea kind of was in the back of my head. And then also a friend of mine, a pastor, was telling me what it was going to cost him to, he was looking at building a house, like an ADU at his house. And he was telling me what it was going to cost. I'm like, man, that just seems ridiculous. And they were like, oh, we just can't afford it. We're going to put a mobile home back there. And I'm like, man, I was like, just, if you'd let me, like, I would, let's at least design something very simple. And I actually showed him the houses that I think Habitat built right across from Sierra Nevada. And I was like, would you be cool with something like this? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, isn't that a whole lot better than a mobile home? And I think mobile homes are great. I grew up in a mobile home. So I think they have their purpose, but I also know that they have a very short life expectancy and compared to a stick-built house. And so anyways, I ended up convincing him, at least let's get something designed. Yeah. And so we designed a property, a house for him and his family. And then I priced it out, and it was a little bit more than a mobile home, but it was like, and I just said, hey, if you let me do this, I'll just do it at my cost. Oh, man. And I really for me, it was like R&D. Like, I was like, I just want to build a house. And so anyways, I ended up building that house and just kind of did a lot of the work myself with my own guys, which for the most part, we don't self-perform a whole lot. So I took my real small crew, and it took us like a year and a half to build this thing. We just kind of did it on the side, keeping busy. So then kind of had this experience building the house and was like, oh yeah, it's expensive. And then I around the same time, I was like, oh, I want to build one for myself too. So I bought a house over on 12th, or I bought, it's kind of I'll call it a lot, but it was a burned down house on 12th and Ivy. And I just wanted to, rather than having somebody else dictate what I was building, I wanted to like figure out what I wanted to build myself. So ended up building a real small, I should say real small. It was like 1,200, 1,150 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and then a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 525 square foot in the back. Wow. And I think my cost on it was like $600,000. And at the end, I looked at it and I was like, compared it to like what's on the market of like, the Bill Webbs of the world that are out there building a much larger, probably nicer house than what I just built for my own cost. And I'm like, man, I would have been better off just building, just buying something. And it was a lot of effort on my part. And so that really got me thinking about, hey, then I also had these experiences with homeless world stuff. And I just started thinking like, several different people in the homeless world kind of said, hey, homeless people can afford something for rent. And at the time I kind of dove into that world, it was $500 a month is what we were kind of targeting. And I was like, oh, $500 a month and a 6% return was kind of like the goal. And anything else was on the table pretty much. So,
that's awesome. Okay.
So I took my experiences with basically what I had was a client, myself being the client that has these parameters. But when I have a client that has they have what they think they want and what they actually need, and their budget don't align. Right. And the easiest thing to do is cut square footage. So that's when I was like, okay, let's start with let's create the absolute smallest studio we can come up with that kind of meets all the like basic needs of what we'll call shelter. Right. So anyways, I came up with this model. And we ended up calling it Hope Village, but it was six tiny homes essentially. I bought a lot, split it, essentially put a duplex in the front, and then a single ADU, detached ADU in the back, and they're all 325 square feet each unit. And then we partnered with Chat to do the property management, case management for those folks. We partnered with 6 churches that also kind of sponsored each of the units and kicked in some money for the first 2 years to kind of get it going. They'd also show up and help. Then each of the 6 units also got assigned to 6 different nonprofits that are homeless service providers. Yeah. So Jesus Center and Torres and America's Finest and Catalyst. They each got a unit to say, hey, I've got a client that I can place in there. So anyways, it ended up being this like 4-way or 5-way. It was like a bunch of people were involved in that project. And then to me, I was like, oh, this is so cool. I love telling the story. And so it's still going now. It's kind of just down to, for the most part, it's just me and Chat kind of doing it. I'm the landlord. Chat rents it. And then the problem with that one was it didn't quite hit the 6% goal. So then my next, like what came out of that project was I was like, okay, we got to think of a different model. And I built two 8-bedroom houses that are kind of like SRO style model. Basically, where each bedroom, these 2 houses, 8 bedrooms each, they each have like a kitchenette and then kind of like a semi-private bathroom, where 2 units share one bathroom, and then they also have a common like full kitchen and a full living room space. Wow. So I finished that about a year ago. I'm trying to working on a deal right now with the Jesus Center to manage that or sell it to them. We actually just applied for a grant. I think it was due today or yesterday for hopefully if awarded the grant, they'd purchase the property from me. So I don't know. Yeah. That was quite the rant. So,
I loved it. I have 3 things I want to talk about based on what you just said. Sure. So first of all, Chico is so lucky to have someone like you putting their head around solving these problems. You cracked a code of some sort. And I know that because I watch the grand openings of these places and when Chat is talking about this, and it attracts decision makers from all sides of the political aisle. To your point earlier, at the end of the day, we agree on like what needs to be done for these crises. Everybody thinks it's a great idea, like all across the board. And I would love to see that transposed like nationally and globally. The 2 other things I wanted to talk about, one was I really want to ask how Mexico can build an $8,000 house and why we can't do that here. And then I also wanted to just comment on the fact that you aren't some absentee CEO. You swing a hammer yourself, am I right about that?
No, not anymore.
Not anymore?
No. The most actual building I do these days is down in Mexico. Where cool. I do actually swing a hammer down in Mexico.
And so tell me about that. What is going on that they can build? Why can't we build $8,000 houses?
Yeah. I would say the biggest component of it is building codes. And what we consider, like, I think just taking a big step back and just philosophically looking at it. And there's this general principle of, well, if there's a problem, let's create a code to solve it. And what we've done is years over years, like, I mean, I'm just not that old, right? I'm 43, but just in my short time in the construction industry, which I've been in construction most of my life. But when I was a kid, like the building code the book was like that thick. Now it's about that thick. And I think that what I've seen, or what I attribute that to, like the cost, unaffordability of housing is what everybody, talks about, is the like the cost of housing has kind of gone on a track like this, and incomes have kind of gone on a track like this, and the space in between is regulation.
Wow.
So to me, regulation has outpaced inflation, basically. So it's like, some regulation is good. We should always be striving for better. California just has a tendency to be wanting to be on like the bleeding edge of technology and because you can build a house, in other states, we'll just say, I don't know, you can still get a house for $300,000,
Wow.
Whatever, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, your standard kind of deal.
Yeah, I heard the median house cost in San Francisco is over $1 million now, or
not
close
surprised.
to it.
Yeah.
At some point, like a decision was made that was like, right, $8,000 house in Mexico versus like this book of regulations here, and this is better for some reason.
It is better, but is it better enough to justify unaffordability?
Yeah.
Is like the question we as society have to answer. I mean, that's there was actually like I'd say a positive thing that the government saw was, hey, there's this, the unaffordability. I think it was a good thing that our current California legislature did is they passed a law and just said, hey, rather than typically every, I think it's 4 years, they issue a whole new building code.
Oh, interesting.
And they passed a law this last year, and they just put a pause on that for one cycle. So just for residential,
Interesting.
kind of paused what was, rather than, they don't completely reissue the whole code book. Practically, they still can keep issuing addendas, so it's maybe not as grand as it could be if they actually just paused like making new regulations. But it's at least the fact that they're thinking about it is positive, I guess, in my head. So and what you said earlier is like decisions were made. And it's easy when you're making a decision, like it's death by 1,000 cuts is the way I kind of look at it is there are a lot of really small incremental decisions that there's just so many of them. I mean, when you get a book that, is like that thick telling you how you got to build, and every single one of those things has a cost associated with it. And it's like, yes, that code solves a problem and makes the house better or makes it the living environment better. But it's like, at what point do we say that we've raised the bar too high to say it like the bare minimum shelter?
Yeah.
Like I will be the first one to say that what we build down in Mexico, I don't think we should build here in Chico.
Totally.
So like having more standards than what they have down there, right? No building department, no building codes. Like me with 15 high school kids go down there and build this house. Like, and it is a lot better than what we often tear down. Like, I don't know why, but somehow Mexico ended up with all the like 1980s plywood garage doors, and they build houses out. So, better than a pallet, but not what we tear down those. They've got dirt floors and they're just with tarps over the roof, like permanent tarps, and that's often what we tear down. Concrete slab, and then we 2x4 construction, T111 siding, rolled asphalt roof, and they've now got some of them are they're like 450 square feet, and they have a little kitchen in them. No running water, but it does have a sink that you can like dump water in, and it goes out, and it's got a little outhouse we normally build for them, and it's so much better than what they had.
So it seems like, and so from you saying that there was a pause on the updated regulations this year, it seems like there is the ability to do some like temporary easing of some of these regulations. And I wonder if there's a world where that's an initiative that somebody could take. And we could say, hey, at least for the very lowest tiny home barrier to entry, maybe we don't need a 20-minute attack rating on the walls. Right? Maybe we need a very simple, like, just get these people somewhere where they have shelter and like ability to get what they need, to survive. So that's our new plan.
Like on that topic, one thing that I'm like an initiative that I haven't really done anything with, but I'll always throw out when we're having these type of conversations is like Title 24 is part of the building code. It's all about energy efficiency and all this stuff. From my perspective, like a 500 square foot house, like just check the box. It's 500 square feet. It's efficient. It should not have to comply with the same codes that a 3,000 square foot house has to comply with. Like there is no way for a 3,000 square foot house to use less energy than a 500 square foot house. So if you're building something really small, I don't think you should have to comply with, like, there's no reason why a 500 square foot house should have to use 2x6 exterior walls. Like that's a lot of wasted. Yeah, it's a little bit more efficient from a building envelope standpoint. But it's so small. It just, it's a lot of wasted wood, you know?
Right.
Structurally, you obviously don't need 2x6 walls. We used to build all our houses with 2x4 walls, and they were totally fine.
See, I love the insight.
Yeah, and if you just, even all the testing and all the stuff that goes around Title 24 to make sure that, my insulation was inspected properly by this, that's like another $500 you got to pay a guy to come out and inspect your insulation. And it's like, it's just not necessary. I got to pay a guy another $500 to create a report that says my house is energy efficient and I checked all the boxes. And then, it's like a bunch of regulations that the city has to have and so now permit costs go up because there's a bunch of boxes they got to check. And it's like, they should just have to check one box. It's 500 square feet.
All right. Well, when are you running for office? As we wrap up here,
Sure.
I'm curious what your advice is to a young you or to anyone watching this who maybe feels like, I want to get involved. I want to do more to help in this community. Maybe I want to start a business or work in a business that allows me to give back. What do you wish someone had said to you when you were 15 to 20?
Gosh, I feel like, I don't know. I feel super grateful just to be where I'm at right now. So I feel like people in my life must have said the right things to me because I just blown away that I'm, in this spot where I'm at currently. So super grateful for that. A lot of mentors in my life. I think that's super important. Find somebody who you, feel like is doing life well and you aspire to be, and and tell them. And most people will are grateful. They're flattered that and for me that happened a lot with my parents. It starts, I think, at home, just as far as that having that family unit, and they poured into me. So I think that was a huge part of it. But then just a lot of community members over the years, my parents' friends. Have poured into me as well. Through church, pastors and various people there have really just poured into me. So just and now it's like so cool to be finally in a position I'm getting to be like the old guy and like looking around and starting to have some younger folks that I get to pour into a little bit. So that's pretty special. So yeah, I don't know.
It's inspiring. I love your framing of it as that not only are you a community builder, but that you were built by community. I think that's excellent. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing what you do in this community where I live, where my family lives. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.